Well, it is week 2 here at the LCS. I'm joined by Dardoch from Immortals to talk a little bit about the start of the split. Dardoch, I mean, it's what now 2-2, I believe, for you guys.
Yeah.
So, how have you felt about the start of the split?
Considering everything and how bad we actually are right now, 2-2 is a blessing. So I'm pretty happy about it, to be honest. We have like a lot of things to improve on, and we know what we want to improve on. So I think being T2 is in a pretty good spot. We're like middle of the pack, which is all we really are hoping for. We know it's going to take time to get over the language barriers. It's going to take time to just mesh well as a team. So we're just aiming for top 6 and just getting to playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, and how bad are you guys right now?
I think we're a middle tier team. It's not that we're consistently awful. We're just really inconsistent. Where sometimes we click really well, and it's like it kind of like gives us. It's like it just skews stuff. Where it's like sometimes we win matchups we have no business winning, or like we'll turn like a 4v5 or something, and we'll just randomly win off just being better players, and then it'll skew that perception of what's going on in game because sometimes we're just better than them mechanically. So, like, we went through things against, like, say we're scrimming one team and then we play against another, like, a better team on stage, like C9, where some matchups work for us in scrims, and then when we go against a really good team, we just kind of get on.
Yeah. It feels like this might be the first year where the sort of recipe of, like, okay, Cloud9, TSM, these guys are good, and then all these, like, random new teams are bad. It feels like that might have changed now. Like, we're seeing P1 show really good results. It seems like CLG struggling to get a foothold, and we'll see after this match finishes. But do you think, like, first off, do you think that's true, or do you think we'll start to see things kind of just bubble to the top again? And also, you know, are there any bad teams in LCS right now?
I think the top tier teams will stay the top tier teams. Like, I think TSM, C9, CLG, they'll eventually just make their way to the top just based on, like, those organizations and the players that they kept. They just kind of know how to win, and they know what it takes to improve, and they kind of just understand the recipe because they've been winning for so long. But I don't think there's a team that's necessarily bad. Like, the NA LCS is pretty stacked right now, even if it's just what it's going to take for another team to break into like the top 3 or the top 2 is just to get over the language barrier as fast as possible, because all the current top tier teams, they don't have that language barrier. Like C9, Impact's already pretty well integrated. Like, they had like a mic check thing at the end of the games where he's just like, I'm not Korean, I'm American. So it was like pretty troll. CLG, they've had the same roster for like a year now. TSM just added another American to their roster, so they have no problem. So those teams will always get better faster because they don't have to worry about a language barrier, and they can just focus purely on gameplay. Where, like, for Flame, for example, he's got English lessons. Ole's got English tutor. Like, I know Dignitas has English tutor as well. P1 probably does as well. So as soon as the language barrier becomes less of a problem and the teams can, it'll just be up to who improves the fastest.
Now, talking a little bit about the Envy game, what was it like getting cheesed in Game 1 and Game 3?
Game 3, we knew about it. Well, Cody was like, he was like, we were like, where's their bot lane? It's like, are they leashing? And then Flame called like Seraph leashed, and I was like, okay, leash inside the top side. I pinged it, and then and then Ole was like, wait, can't they just be doing our blue? They have Malzahar. And Cody was like, no, there's no way they're doing our blue. And then I'm just like, I said, it's okay if they take my blue. Like, I'm Rek'Sai, I'll be fine anyway. And then 2 seconds later, Malzahar shows up in lane with blue, and he's like, oh, they lost 2 CS for that. I was just like, oh, yeah, that's a big swing.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then what about Game 1?
Game 1 was brutal. Game 1, Flame always talks about doing that level 1 where normally nobody uses trinkets level 1, like jungle top. So he always wants us, if we have a stronger top lane and jungle duo, to just walk in their jungle and just mess them up on red buff, or whatever buff they're starting, rather. And we have never had it done to us outside of scrims. So we were like, yeah, nobody's going to do that on stage. It seems really risky and random, and it just like adds an element to the game that's not normally there. So we were like, okay, whatever. And then when we started the red buff and I just got killed, it failed my flash, and I was like, I guess I'm pretty doomed. So it was rough, but things like that don't end the game. They just get you a lead that, and it's just on the team that got cheese to kind of adapt. And I think we adapted well that game, and we played well from behind, but I mean, we just don't have the synergy together. But I think after we won the team fight and got Baron, we should have won the game. But we just messed up our mid game and our rotations and stuff, where we're just kind of trying to mesh together as a team. Flame, we also have communication problems with Flame, so he was in the side lane when, I mean, he didn't have TP. I made a bad call bottom when we died and lost Baron. So a lot of elements went into that game, but it wasn't necessarily the cheese that won them the game.
And then I do also want to ask you, do you think that between the new ban and pick system and I guess teams just feeling more confident in themselves, that we'll start to see kind of crazier stuff like that? Like, obviously those are cheesy starts to those games. We saw Moon play Eve earlier today. Do you think that there's going to be just a lot more interesting stuff happening in LCS?
I mean, we already see the adaptation in draft. Like, TL is getting super abused because their jungler doesn't play that many characters. Like, he doesn't have Lee Sin in his pool, so he's really abusable by draft, and it doesn't look like his Kha'Zix is very good. So people are just opening Rengar and Kha'Zix knowing that they're gonna, they have to trade in a bad way. Yeah. On, I think when enemy team's on blue and TL's on purple, they do that, and I think it'll just take time and people understanding, because it's only like week 2, so we don't really have a full grasp of people's champion pools. So after we understand people's champion pools, I think people will start getting abused more in draft phase.
Moon was telling me that he kind of liked the idea of showing Eve now because he feels like people will now have to think about, like, in the back of their mind, like, do we have to worry about that? Do you have any opinions? I don't know how much you were able to see, but do you have any opinions on that situation, I guess I would say?
Having pocket picks is always really valuable, and I think Moon plays his like to he's probably the best Evelyn in North America.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good that when a team is on like a winning streak, like when they're hot, like FlyQuest is right now, I think it's super valuable to bust out a champion like that, where like High's playing like Twisted Fate and he's going off. Nobody else is really playing Twisted Fate right now. You see it some games for some players, but yeah, if you're on a hot streak and then you bust out something that nobody's ever played against and then you still win with it, then it's like everyone's always thinking like, well, they can beat everybody's standard, and then they also have this, so like, how do we even draft against this? And then it'll scare them into banning it, and I think it's really valuable, yeah.
Finally, I think it was the last time we spoke, we had talked a little bit about you switching over to Immortals and sort of you looking to level up your teamwork, I guess is a good way to put it. How has that been working for you from like an emotional, mental state, especially as you've had kind of like a lopsided start to the split? I guess maybe a more direct question is, if we go backstage whenever you guys lose, are you back there throwing things, punching your fist through drywall, like picking Flame up and throwing him out a window?
No, not necessarily. Most of the time where my mentality wavers is just when I do really poorly. So I'm more so mad at myself than any of my teammates, and my teammates understand what kind of mental strength I have, where if we're losing as a team, I'm always really positive and saying like, yeah, it's okay guys, like we just have to think of a different strategy in game, we have to adapt better, and we can just go at it next game. But like games like game 1 and my whole set against C9, where I'm just getting outclassed, really. Like I got outclassed really hard by Contracts and Lyra game 1. I mean, he got his cheese off, but after his cheese, he still played the early mid game really well. And as a shot caller, I still have ways to go, so I'm not making the correct calls mid game for my team to get back in the game. That's still on me. So those things like that kind of mess me up. They don't really mess me up mentally, but sometimes if I have like a super bad game like game 1, where already in the back of my head I was thinking like, wow, like I'm getting on by the community because I just got beat up by Contracts. And like, not saying he's bad or anything, but like I'm getting shit on by somebody like Contracts.
He's a rookie, right?
Yeah. As I'm getting beat up by a rookie, or I'm getting beat up by somebody that I previously said was bad. Like when somebody asked me how's Contracts going to do when he enters the LCS, I'm like, I don't think he'll be that big of an upgrade from Meteos, but he learns really fast and he's really good. I have a lot of respect for Juan, and so when I'm already on the back foot from that, it tilts me extra hard when I have a really bad game like game 1, like today. But my teammates help me out a lot mentally, and they keep me in the game, and I bounce back game 2, and then we just close out the series well.
Rick, is there anything that you would like to say to any of the Immortals fans?
Just thank you for supporting me and my team, and I'm really sorry for my poor performances individually over the first 2 weeks of LCS, and I'm going to keep trying to get better.
Very good. Thank you for the interview. And for everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things esports here at Yahoo Esports.